Welcome to the Celebrating Women podcast, co-hosted by Mandee Montana and Ashley Fisher, a podcast that celebrates women, their issues, their thoughts, their lives, conversations that celebrate their gifts, their talents, their courage. It's the Celebrating Women podcast. Presented by Hand & Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler, Texas. Hey, it's Mandee Montana. At Hand & Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler, you can give your skin the essential hydration it craves by moisturizing the Hand & Stone way. Chelsea Everett, the lead esthetician at the Tyler, Texas location, says keeping the skin moisturized stimulates skin barrier functions, which is crucial to the health of the skin. Chelsea, I know you've got 3 key tips on how to best take care of your skin daily. Do you want to give me those now?
3 key things are keeping your skin moisturized, staying hydrated, and of course wearing sunscreen. Moisturizing and especially hydration go together so well. You have to have that moisture barrier to hold that hydration in. Otherwise you can drink gallons and gallons of water and it's just gonna evaporate right out of the skin. Also keeping the skin plump and slowing down the aging process a bit. But also, wearing sunscreen. UV exposure is responsible for 80% of early facial aging signs. So it's crucial not only for preventative aging, but for preventative skin cancer.
Chelsea, thank you so much for stopping by today. I just love your tips and I'm going to incorporate those into my daily routine. I so appreciate you stopping by today. And for all of our friends that are listening, remember you can stop by Hand & Stone Tyler in the Cumberland Shopping Center to make your appointment or online at handandstonetyler.com.
Welcome back to the Celebrating Women podcast. I'm Ashley Fisher.
I'm Mandee Montana. And today we have a special guest, Randi. She's here. Tell me how to say your last name. I meant to ask.
It's Fugate.
I had it right.
Yeah.
I would have said it right. Randi Fugate with Detailing Delivered.
That's right.
And with a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we met online.
We did.
I found you in a networking group and kind of started following you on social media. And then you found the podcast.
Right.
We had coffee the other day and had a chance to chat. And you said you've got a message that you want to share. And I thought it was a beautiful one. And so Ashley and I wanted to have you in to chat.
Yeah. So first of all, I really think it's a great idea what you guys are doing with this and celebrating women. I mean, I think a lot of times we get pushed to the back. I mean, when you think about the billionaires that like think about the most famous billionaires, they're all men, right? I mean, I know for me,
yeah,
I'm just thinking, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, like they're always men. And so that was one of the things that really caught my attention was something that I'm trying to do in my personal life is just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I can't do things. Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I can't be successful. And I mean, even in the workplace, a lot of times it's men. And just with my profession being in a mobile detailing company now, a lot of it is men. Most of the time, I get called sir. Like if they're texting, they'll text, be like, "Oh, hey, I'm interested in this," and they'll be like, "Oh, yes, sir," and I'm like, "I'm not a sir." People think that I don't do anything. I don't have anything to do with the business. They think that it's my husband's business, and I'm just the wife.
We were just talking about this dynamic
so
on
annoying.
A different episode. Yes.
It's really annoying because I'm the backbone of this business right now, and if I wasn't doing the things that I was doing, there would be no work for the guys to even do, So that's been kind of annoying and just something that I've been thinking about a lot. And when I saw the Celebrating Women, I'm just like, yeah, like we
I want to be
doing
celebrated.
that. Yeah, I want credit for what I'm doing. It's just been one of those things that's been heavy on me lately. And I'm like, how can I make myself more of like the face? Like with Detailing Delivered, when people think about that or when they see us on Facebook or whatever, most of our videos and pictures, it's all the guys because I'm the one taking the pictures. So I'm like, how are we going to be able to incorporate me in that to where people realize that I am a big part of this business?
You call Ashley Fisher and let her get you in the photo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she does great branding photos.
Yeah,
really.
We should talk some more about that for sure.
Yes.
Because that is something that's been just pretty annoying.
I'm going to put you smack in the middle.
Yeah. Right.
That's a struggle.
It is.
In a lot of professions, I was in a male-driven profession for a long time in radio. I was the only woman at the table a lot of times.
Yep.
And it's, you have to find your confidence in that and speak up, which it sounds like you're doing. So kudos to you for that.
Outspoken type person. Like I said, I'm really blunt and everything and a more outspoken, open book. And I'm just trying to find ways to incorporate my strengths in there somehow without like overpowering my husband, because then that's a whole nother thing.
Oh yeah, it's a partnership.
Yeah. Yes, and we literally are a partnership on paper.
Yes.
Which that dynamic is crazy. Like, it's one thing being married and just all that comes with that, but then when you are in business with one another, woo, yeah.
A lot of women say that they wouldn't be able to work with their husbands.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it, but we also we're very confident in our strengths and weaknesses, and we acknowledge that, and we bring two completely different things to the business. You know,
that's awesome.
And that's with women anywhere.
If you're aware of that, that's like the recipe for the best dynamic. It's just so good.
Yeah, I think that's with any profession, or even in politics. You know, we don't have to get into all that, but like even in there's not a lot of women either, or they're not at the forefront. Women have their own, I don't know what you would call it. It's the strengths and weaknesses type thing. Yeah, we see things completely differently than men. And when we work together, that's how you create something that can be so amazing.
Totally.
Because there could be missing pieces, you know, like if you have just one person trying to do something, even with you guys, like I bet y'all just kind of like feed off each other.
Oh, we do.
You have your own little, you know,
Yep.
And it just works out that way. And it's always better. Two heads are better than one, you know, that's always been a thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's actually something else that we really incorporate with Detailing Delivered is our guys have autonomy. They can find things that they want to do a different way and bring it to us and be like, hey, if we do it this way, it'll make it faster. Or if we do it this way, it'll be cheaper, or whatever that will benefit the business. And in the workplace, that's something that's missing. Most people that quit a job, it's because of the management. And they feel like they don't have a say in anything. They feel like they just have to do what the boss says, and they have nothing else that they can do. And we wanted to really make sure we had that atmosphere and that culture in our business where we all work together and we all have our own strengths and weaknesses. Like I mentioned before, that's something that, you know, I might not be able to get down on the ground and clean something like one of the guys can, but they can't do payroll like I can, you know.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It's something that it makes a great team. It makes a great team when you can be comfortable with each other as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big deal for us. We want to know what's going on in our guys' lives, because if you don't, you're not going to know why they're not working as well one day. They could be like not working well and you're like, well, what is going on? And then you realize, oh, they just had a death in the family or something like that. And most people are told to be quiet. They're told to leave your baggage at the door when you come to work. We're almost the opposite of that, because we do care. Like we actually care about our employees and our team, and we want everybody to be on the same page with things and to just be working well together. And so yeah, it's kind of just something that makes us a little unique in the workplace, you know.
So I feel like for a business owner and an employer to have that mentality, you have to be coming from a very distinct worldview that typically comes from just your story.
Right.
So I'm curious now, knowing that about you, knowing that that's how you go about business and life. What was it that
how did I get there?
Yeah, how did you get there?
I think experience has been one of the biggest things. Like I said, I had several jobs whenever I was younger, and it was a lot of times the management that, you know, makes you not want to go to work and makes you not want to do your best. If they're being a jerk to you all day, like, why are you going to go to work and stay doing your best, you know?
Yeah.
So in the workplace,
bad leadership leads to employees that don't want to be in that environment any longer, and then they choose to leave and take their talents elsewhere.
Right.
Sounds like you had to make that choice a couple of times, maybe.
Yes. So in particular, I can think about my first job, actually. So when I was 16, I got a job at Sonic. And during that time, I was going through a lot of chaos at home. And then, you know, there'd be times where I had to call in, or that I was running late, and trying to just hold back tears and just do my job. And then you've got your boss getting mad at you for being late or calling in and be like, oh, well, this is the third time you called in, you know. And it's like, you have no idea what I have going on right now at home. And they don't care. They care about food cost and labor. They're not. You're just there to...
You're a number.
Yeah.
That's driving other numbers. You're not a person. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, you know, speaking of just what was going on at home, kind of a backstory on that would be things like, you know, growing up, there were times where, you know, we had our electricity cut off, our water cut off. There was times where we did not have food. There were times where I was left alone to take care of my little brother that actually was disabled. You know, my mom worked nights, so like she was never around. You know, I mean, there was a lot going on. Like most people that talk about this kind of stuff, kind of dabbling into drugs and alcohol at a young age. I was smoking cigarettes, like full-time smoking cigarettes at 12 years old.
Wow.
I had things being bought for me that should not have been being bought for me, you know. And during that time, I was like, well, it was specifically with my dad, you know, like I had the cool dad, okay? Because like friends could come over and drink, friends could come over and smoke cigarettes, we could do whatever we wanted, we didn't have to watch our mouths, you know, like when you're in something, that's, you know, you don't realize how messed up something is till you get out of it.
For sure, that's your normal. That's what
yeah,
you know.
I didn't
especially
know
as a
any
child.
better.
Right.
Yeah. And then growing up and just seeing how things were, you know, the truth, I was just like, how the heck could people do this? And, you know, to each their own, you know, everybody makes their own choices, but it's just, they're still right and wrong. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that got me out of that is actually another young woman, which is my daughter. So after going through just a bunch of craziness, you know, and growing up in such a dysfunctional family and just feeling worthless and just not feeling like I had any purpose at all, then I had my daughter. I was 19 and had her, and she literally like saved my life. Like she knows, I mean, she knows, like she's been with me through everything, and it's just a whole nother woman thing. You know, she gets a lot of credit for, I mean, she's been such a huge help anyways, being the oldest out of all of our kids, but.
You have 5, right?
Man, yes, I have 5.
5?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, what are their ages real quick?
So my oldest that I'm referring to, she's 14. And then I've got a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and 8-year-old twins.
Whoa.
So, yeah, they're all...
Ended with twins, huh?
Mm-hmm, yeah. We were trying for one
deal.
more girl, and we got her, plus I call him my bonus, because, I mean, we weren't expecting him, but they're boy-girl twins, so...
Oh.
But yeah, my kids have been a huge part of what has made me just completely change my life. After I had my oldest daughter, I was just like, I wanted the best for her with anything, with everything, with her life, with her health, with her education, with just her friendships and her just everything. Like I wanted the best for her, and then of course the other 4 came. So you say I want the best for my kids, and just that's what completely switched my mindset. I was like, I have to do better for them. I'm not going to live like the rest of my family did and just be consumed with drugs and alcohol and just that kind of lifestyles. I cannot do that anymore. So
I'm curious, did you see a friend or a friend's family or maybe distant family that maybe inspired
how did I
you?
find out?
Yeah, like how did you see that you could do something different? Because I think the statistics are pretty much, if you're raised that way,
you stay that way.
You stay that way. We talked to another, Jamie talked a lot about that. She grew up in pretty extreme poverty.
Yeah.
And it went against the grain and made better for herself like you're doing.
Right.
So I'm curious where that came from.
Probably when it really started hitting me was when I met my husband's family.
Okay.
So I had my oldest daughter and my oldest son with another man, and then that didn't work out. He's not in the picture at all. And then my husband came about, and he basically has adopted them. We need to get the papers done, but he has been their dad. Like they know nothing else. Like that's their dad.
Yeah.
That would have been in 2013 whenever I met his family, and there was just something different. It was just, I had never felt so supported and well taken care of, you know. I was just like, I want that. That's what I want to be like for my kids. And, you know, even though my husband had made some bad choices and stuff, they never gave up on him. Of course, they didn't agree with his bad choices, but they were still there. I'm not going to say they were enabling or anything like, something like that, but they were.
They loved him through it.
They loved him through it. And you don't always see that. You see most of the time people just push people to the side and don't realize, like I mentioned with leadership and with the workplace and stuff too, they don't think about what you actually have going on. And yeah, I saw how they were, and they were just so generous and caring. And I was like, I never had felt that before in my life. And so that was probably, my 2 oldest were like 2 and 3 at that time.
So you were in your early 20s at this point?
Yeah, early 20s.
Wow.
I was still making bad choices myself. And then actually during that time became a Christian as well. So it was in 2014 when I became a Christian. That's a whole nother topic, because before that, I mean, I literally referred to myself as an atheist. I was just, dabbling in witchcraft even at one point, completely in the dark, just completely in the dark. And then, like they say, you get your blinders kind of get taken off when you are exposed to the light. And that's kind of what happened too. So it's kind of a lot at once when I met his family. And
sounds like it.
They get a lot of credit for, there's no telling how much they had prayed for me to just, different things like that too. So
what special, like, kind of deluge of, like, love in so many forms all at one time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That had to be
love.
Overwhelming.
Yes,
that had to be overwhelming.
That is a good way to put it. It was love that I had never felt before. Because growing up, there was no love, affection, nothing like that. Like we were the type of family that did not give hugs. We did not, my
heart hurts for you so much right now, Randi, because that's just such a different way of growing up. And I know people experience it. And I just think back to my childhood, and my parents were absent a lot.
Right.
But when they were there, I got hugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, man, it has had a huge impact on my life and a lasting effect that I still struggle with, because I don't want my kids to ever feel unloved. So I make sure, like, literally every single night we pray together, we tell each other good night, we give hugs, high fives, whatever, and tell each other, okay, good night, love you. Like that was never said. I can count probably like one time that I remember my dad ever saying, I love you to me. That was not a thing. My mom, maybe once in a while on the phone, when she'd get off the phone, she would say, I love you and bye. But that was not something that we said growing up at all. And that's between like my whole family. Like it was all of them. And
so this was a totally different experience when you met your husband's family.
Yes, so different. I had to get used to hugs. And that's something I seriously do still struggle with. I know you said you're a hugger.
I'm a hugger.
And that's fine.
I almost hug attacked you, and I thought, I'm going to give her a minute because she's just meeting me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And man, it's just like a whole different, the darkness and the light. It's such a big difference.
But now you see it. You see it in other people.
I see it. That is a big deal too.
Right?
I've had people tell me that knew me when I was younger, and they know me now. They're like, "You're so different." And I'm like, "I know, right?" Like,
yeah.
And there's not a lot of people like that. Mainly people that I went to school with. If I hadn't seen them in a long time, they just kind of look at me and they're amazed, because when I was growing up in school, when I hit probably 12 years old, around the same time, started smoking and drinking and doing all these things that I shouldn't have been doing. I was also dressing very differently. I was dressing in the goth attire, like the bondage pants, the straps, the black fingernails, the black hair,
Wow.
I mean, of course I still wear black. I can't give
I
that
do
up. But people were scared of me. As I heard later on, people were scared of me because I gave off that darkness.
But you
darkness.
were probably wanting to put off that vibe, right? Because that's all you knew.
Exactly. Man, it's crazy. And I was going to Bullard school, so you can imagine in Bullard, there was like a handful of us that dressed that way or acted that way. It's mainly a lot of cowboys and, just more the preppy kids or whatnot. So yeah, I was completely different than I am now. And I had to go through a lot of things to get to where I'm at. And I think that that's what makes people relatable. I wanted to go to school to be a counselor because, you know, the best counselors are someone that you can relate to, especially like drug and alcohol counseling and stuff like that. It's always better to find someone who has been through it and got through it, and now they're helping others get through it.
Right.
So that's something that I really am kind of passionate about, and I'm trying to find my place, like where I can kind of use that, like where can I get involved, where I can help women that are going through chaos and help them come out of it and be there for them and encourage them, you know, that they can get through that. They don't have to keep living that way.
Yeah.
And we don't give ourselves enough credit for the things that we're capable of. Like, that's another big thing for me right now is I'm just thinking, like, even the fact that I quit smoking cigarettes just alone.
Yeah, that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
It is. And, like, you know, of course, drugs and alcohol and stuff, and to be able to, I can be at a restaurant and not even care to, like, you know, have a drink or, which there's nothing wrong with that anyways, but you know what I mean? Like,
unless,
it's not.
Unless it's
a choice
struggle.
that you've made.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can be around people. All of our guys up there at work, they vape. And I'm like, it's not even a temptation anymore. Because, like, once you get away from something for so long and you realize the effects that it was actually playing in your life, you can just be like, wow, I can't believe I used to do that. And I hate saying things, you know, like that, because there are people out there that smoke. And like I said, to each their own.
You're not coming
But-
from a place of judgment. You're
No.
just telling your story.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because it's like, I know for myself and my body, like, I didn't want to do that
Yeah.
anymore, because it's just, you got to think about the health things. And I watched my whole family be so addicted to cigarettes. I'm not even joking. I used to watch my family roll up tea bags, like the tea in a tea bag, in a newspaper and smoke that if they were out of cigarettes.
Wow.
That is an insane addiction.
That's needing a
Wow.
cigarette real bad.
That is
Yeah.
an insane addiction.
Yeah.
But you've come
to
through
be
it.
able to put, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
You've come through it.
I've overcome a lot of things, and even, you know, besides the smoking and drinking and drugs and all those types of things, I also was a high school dropout. When I was 17, I was actually in the 9th grade. I'd failed like 3 times. And I was going to be in the 9th grade again when I turned 18. I would have been supposed to have been graduating and was going to be in the 9th grade again. I was going to be like 21 whenever I graduated if I had kept staying in school. And so I ended up dropping out and just thinking I would never really do anything else with my life. And because that's what I knew. Like, then
That's
nobody
what you
else
had seen. Yeah.
Nobody else went to college and did anything. My older brother did end up going to college later on, but like, we weren't talked to about college at all.
Or school, it sounds like.
Or school.
There wasn't any support. Like, let's get your homework done.
No.
Do you have a
No.
test?
I
Let's
had no
learn the
homework,
spelling words.
no help with homework or anything like that. I mean, there were even times when I was in the 9th grade that I was having to go be like, hey, Mom, like, we need to go to school, like, with, you know, and it's not like I could walk to school at that point. We were living really far away from the school. Yeah, it was not a priority. School was not a priority. Health was not a priority.
And you've gone back to school. Did you get your GED?
I went and got my GED when I was 30.
Good for you,
And then,
sis.
yeah,
That's
and
amazing.
then now I'll graduate in May with an associate's in business management. So that's pretty close. That's really close, actually.
It's
If you think about it.
amazing. Yeah.
I can't believe I'm about to do that. Like, I have been in school for 3 years now, so I could kind of like got
While
used to being
running
a
the
student
business
while running
and
the business,
having 5 children.
Yes,
Good
yes.
grief.
And then the networking group as well. So I'm the founder of Bullard Networking Group also, because once I started going to school, I had a teacher that was really, like, I look up to that man so much. Like, he taught me so many things, not even just like the textbook stuff, but just life stuff. And he had mentioned before about how networking was so important for businesses. And I was like, I have never heard of this. How have I never heard of this? You know, we've been in business for a few years now. And so I was like, well, let's see if there's one in Bullard, because we're living in Bullard. And I posted out on probably the I'm So Bullard page and was like, is there any networking groups around here? And there wasn't. So I was like, I'm just going to start one then, because
Man.
if it's that important, why is there nobody doing that here? And of course, there's the chamber, and they play their part, and we've been involved with them before too, and they do amazing things. But there was just kind of, I felt like there was the lack of the community, you know, the networking part of it. Mm-hmm. And for it to be free too. Like, it's free unless we do an event where it costs money to rent a place or whatever. But that's been another, that's been an eye-opener for sure. That's been something that has helped me come out of my shell. Like, I was very much in a shell, didn't really like talking to people, didn't really like being, like, talking in public. But yeah, you never know who you're going to meet at a networking group. It's going to be strangers. It's going to be random people. It's been a little over a year now, and it's been just growing. We're constantly trying to think of new events and ideas and things that we do for our meetings, and finding yourself too. That's been self-development, you know, those types of things. That's really helped with finding myself, finding my voice, tell my story.
Yes, yes.
So yeah.
You said something earlier that just struck me. You said that growing up you felt worthless.
Oh yeah.
Do you feel that way now?
No.
Why?
Because I know I'm valuable, and I know that I have a purpose, and I know that if I wasn't there for my kids and for this business and for the networking group, I mean, all the lives that I've been involved with and stuff, like, if I wasn't there playing my part, there could be things that got left out or missed or that didn't get to be accomplished.
There's a whole group that wouldn't exist without you. There are 5 whole babies.
I know.
Yes.
That would not exist without you, and a business that wouldn't be thriving if it weren't for you.
Yes.
And, you know, we were talking about this on an earlier episode, that as women, sometimes we're taught to, you know, be humble or to not talk about ourselves and, you know, that kind of thing. But I think it's important to be self-aware enough to own the things that we're championing in our life and to acknowledge the space that we take up.
Right.
And I think that's what you're doing. And I think you're doing it beautifully.
Yeah, thank you.
And so much to the point where you're like, I want to tell my story.
I want to go be on a podcast.
Yes.
You went from, I don't want to talk to people, to let me get a microphone in front of me and tell my story.
Which
because
is not an easy thing to do.
It's not.
It's not. It's very vulnerable, very like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But the thing is, our stories are meant to be told and they're meant to be shared. They're not meant to be sat on, because then we talked about this real briefly before we turned the mics on, but doing something like this, like, turns our pain into purpose.
It does. It does. And I'm surprised I haven't cried yet, because, and that tells me too that, like, you know, if you can't really talk about something without bawling your eyes out, you're probably not really over it yet. Like, you know, if that makes sense.
That's, yeah.
And to just know that, like, I can talk about it without crying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is a whole nother part of it. It's like, that's healed now, you know, like, it took a long time to heal from some of the things that I've gone through. But that's just the whole part of the journey. You have to be able to heal from things that have happened to you in the past in order to help people in your future. We are so powerful in that. There's so much power in that, and just being able to relate to someone else and to have somebody be like, you know, hey, I'm going through this situation. I know you've gone through this in the past. What did you do to be there for that person?
Yeah.
Even if it was something like smoking cigarettes, if there's a friend that's like, hey, I'm trying to quit smoking. I know you quit. What did you do to do that? You know,
So
we need that.
We do. And we need it at all ages and at all vantage points of life.
Yes.
So I'd kind of like for you to talk to the 17-year-old Randys out there. If they're sitting there listening, or if they're a little bit more grown now, but they've got similar pasts and they're going, okay, healing sounds great.
Right.
How? What would you say?
It is definitely being self-aware, like you mentioned. Being emotionally mature is another big part of it, because if you can't dig deep inside of yourself and find the things that need to change in order for you to go further and be more successful, you're just going to stay where you're at. You're not going to go anywhere. If you're not, you have to be able to take constructive criticism, which is a very hard one. I totally understand that that's a hard one. I've gotten to where I've got pretty thick skin and I can handle things like that better nowadays. But a lot of people struggle with that, and I get it. You don't want to be told what you're not good at or what you're doing wrong. I mean, nobody likes that.
Especially when you're trying so damn hard just to do something worthwhile. It's like, don't tell me I'm doing it wrong, but that's loving, though.
Yes,
it really is.
It actually is. And I think the approach is probably the biggest thing with that, is to not just approach somebody and be like, hey, you really shouldn't be doing this or whatever. Like, be it in a loving way. Be like, hey, you're really good at this, but you could work on this a little bit, you know.
And sometimes asking for permission to offer that, I think helps, you know, like, hey, I see that you're really trying. Would it be okay if I gave you some advice? I see you.
Yeah.
And I want to help you. And I feel like that's a different approach to that. Maybe it helps soften it some.
I think even just women in general also kind of struggle with that, because something that I've noticed is that women feel like they're in a competition with each other, and they can't just be there for each other. They feel like they have to one up each other all the time. And that can be a good thing. Like, competitiveness can be a good thing. But it's also, if you're constantly comparing yourself to someone else, and that, you know, can bring a whole nother side of it that could just do the opposite.
It can lead to that worthlessness effect, right? Because if you're constantly comparing yourself to someone who's not like you,
right,
or, you know, in a situation that's completely different from yours, then it can make you think, I'm not good enough, or I'm not like her. Ashley and I really, one of the things that we love, I think, promoting and talking about on the podcast is a sense of collaboration.
Yes, and embracing your differences. That's,
Yeah. It's like you were talking about in the beginning, your strengths and weaknesses, you know, you can collaborate and help each other both grow.
For sure.
If you can find the ways that you balance each other.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I love that. I feel like this professor maybe sparked some ideas in you. You're grinning. That have really resonated with you even outside of maybe the way you structured your business and operate it.
Yeah.
But also in maybe how your outlook on life. So do you want to share maybe a nugget that you felt like?
I actually don't mind mentioning his name. I'm sure he would be fine with it. His name is Donald Blaine from TJC, and he's a professor for business. And there's a couple other professors that are amazing. Like, I've had several, like Joshua Ettinger. He's an amazing professor as well. But there was just something about Donald Blaine that you could tell he really had a passion for making sure people find their purpose in life and to not keep just wasting their time. And he really, like, drilled it into us that, you know, if you're not happy with where you're working, go find what's going to actually make you happy. You shouldn't be just wasting your life with a job that you hate, or with a relationship that you hate, or with a life that you hate.
Yeah.
You know, you shouldn't. Of course, there can be balance, and there can be things about your life that you want to change, but
time is precious.
If you're just miserable, do something about it. Change it. There's no point in living like that. Time is so precious and valuable, and yeah, he really opened my eyes with that, because we were wasting a lot of time, you know, and I've gotten to where I really don't like even watching TV or going to see a movie or anything. Like I said, to each their own. I'm not judging. But for me personally, I would rather spend that 2 hours, instead of watching a movie, doing something to learn something new, or to spend time with my family that I already, you know, my kids that I already hardly see because they're at school all day long, you know, or just make things a priority, like having dinner with your family. Sit at the table and eat dinner together.
Cell phones off.
Yes. So many people have lost that. Things like that my husband and I really want to make sure we instill in our kids, like the saying "I love you" at bedtime, the meals together, the closeness. I mean, there's 5 of them, and right now they don't like each other a whole lot. They get on each other's nerves. But I don't want that to be that way when they get older. I want them to be able to count on each other, and to still love each other, and you know,
and
be close.
And the opportunities to create something beautiful, or to like set the table for something beautiful, be it in business or in family, are aplenty. You just have to have your eyes open to see those opportunities. Like with my kids, they're younger than yours. I have 3. And they'll get on each other's nerves. Yeah. And then when it gets to a certain level, I'll say, hold up. Listen, you guys are each other's brothers and sister. Investing in those moments and going, y'all, like helping them to see this is a valuable relationship. Invest in it, you know,
Right.
or in business when you've got somebody coming in and they think all they can do is, you know, clean up that spot on the floor and you see potential in them and you're like, oh, hey, you are capable of so much more.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
like, why don't you come over here and help me with this? You know?
That reminds me of another thing that professor would always talk about is using your talents. Like if you have somebody that's super talented, say their communication skills are amazing, but you have them just over sitting in a factory like packing boxes. Why are they not using their talents?
Yeah, and don't you know that is literally killing their soul?
Oh yeah. and it's preventing a lot of success from happening for certain businesses. There could be somebody that you have hired in your lowest paying position or whatever that could change your business and make you a billionaire, but they're over there just doing...
They see things differently than you do.
Exactly.
Because oftentimes when you're the business owner, you see things from top down.
It's the hierarchy.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's just the way it works,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But if you can have the leadership abilities to then go to somebody who's on the front line of your business and say, what am I missing? What do you see that I don't see?
But do you know what that takes? Checking your pride at the door.
Exactly.
Which is something that unfortunately not a lot of business owners, not all business owners are willing to do or have the eyesight to do, but it sounds like you do. Sounds like you like don't have pride coming into the game in the way that it would block you from seeing that guy over there needs to be over here.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's a big deal that we have a guy working for us right now that his background is in sales. And I'm like, then we're going to put you in a position where you can go do that, you know, but we're training him right now to where he can know what he would be selling. Of course, we want him to know everything that we do to where he can talk about things confidently and know what he's talking about, which is really important as well. But yeah, it's something that I see missing, and it's, of course, with women too. It's a lot of times with women get
Put into the secretarial role.
Men think that they are not capable. And it's something that's driving me nuts. And I'm like, I want to find somewhere where I can help change that. Like what, and there's tons of people out there doing, you know, what they can with it.
But we need more.
We need more. And it's going to take us as women to stand up and get our voices out there, put ourselves at the forefront. If they were not going to allow us, fight it. We have to do it together.
You're doing it today. I mean, you said, let me have a microphone and say women matter in the workplace.
Yes, women matter in the workplace.
They do. I'm so thankful that you reached out, because when we had coffee the other day and we were chatting, it was like balm. It was like, this is why we started this.
Yeah.
You know, for me, in a lot of ways, there's so many stories that have been powerful that have come through.
Right.
And some of them are personal. Some of them are about faith. Some of them are some of our episodes are just conversations between Ashley and I about what's on our mind, right?
Yeah.
But kind of where it started was both of us made this transition from employees to entrepreneurs, and it was a powerful journey for us.
Yep.
Yes.
And I think for women especially, it's a different transition.
Yeah.
And so it was just okay, God, I'm listening, I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
Randy's here. She's saying, I am where you were.
Yeah. Yeah. You
You
know,
know?
and it's interesting to me, you know, timing. This morning I was putting my shoes on and I thought, I feel so incredibly blessed because 10 years ago I was in the classroom, I was teaching, and that's an amazing job. And teachers are next level human beings, and I have the utmost respect for them. And I did not enjoy it. I was good at it, and there were portions of it that I enjoyed, but being in a room from 7 to 4 every day is not my jam.
Right.
This week, I'm working every single day, and every single day is drastically different from the next, and I love it. And everything I'm doing, I'm passionate about.
Right.
That's a gift.
Yes.
And it takes allowing yourself to go, I'm miserable here. What can we do to change it?
Yes. Yeah. Self-awareness and
Yeah.
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 Pausing for that reflection. I mean, it was similar but different when I left. I loved radio. I loved my job, but the things that I loved about it were slowly ebbing away from that business. The business structure has changed.
Teaching.
Same with teaching, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So the reasons I loved it was I loved being involved in my community. I love music. And I like working with my voice.
Right.
And I developed that skill set of being able to communicate effectively behind a microphone. So it was like, how can I figure out a way to do these things in a way that will provide me some sort of income, but that I don't have to exist in the corporate structure that's telling me I have to do it their way.
Right. Yes.
In a way
for
that I feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
You know, I love my friends. They're literally across the parking lot.
Literally.
Yes, across the parking
A
lot.
stone's throw.
And I still go over there from time to time and hang out because I love them dearly. But within the confines of the way the industry has shifted, I wasn't feeling fulfilled any longer.
Yeah,
So I had to shift.
Yeah, things change. And even, you know, for our personal lives, our goals change in life.
for sure.
You know, like a goal that you might have had when you were 17 is probably not going to be the same goal you have when you're 33. And
Yes.
to be able to just kind of roll with it and go with it and just make those changes and just see, it's the potential thing. Everybody has so much potential. And we don't give ourselves enough credit. We don't think we can do things. We can do hard things. We can.
Yeah, that's what we tell our kids. You can do hard stuff. It's not always pleasant in the
Yeah.
moment, but the payoff typically is.
Right.
You know, what I love and what is so hope giving to me is the smile that creeps across your face when I say, you said that when you were growing up, you felt worthless.
Yeah.
And you see, you're smiling again, and that you don't feel that way now. And it just goes so far beyond even feeling a certain way, but knowing from the depths of you that you have purpose, and this like living in a space where you feel like you're fulfilling that purpose.
Right.
You know, so. For somebody who is just stuck, what would you say, what direction or directions would you point them to kind of get started?
I would ask them what their talent is.
Okay.
That's a great place to start.
That's an excellent.
It is, because that's what's, you know, without knowing that, you're not going to know where to go at all. You know, like you yourself being talented behind a microphone. Continue doing that then. You know, if photography.
Ashley didn't know she was talented behind a microphone, but she is.
And that's, you know, you also never know.
Yeah,
that's also taking
true.
risks.
Taking risk. Ooh, okay.
Taking risks.
Keep
I
going.
mean, that's
So
a big
talents, risks.
one. Talents,
Yeah.
risks.
What are your talents? Be willing to take some risks.
Yeah.
Personally, like, go ahead.
I was going to say personal development and just, you know, being self-aware. Those are all kind of rolled up together.
Those are so good.
So good.
Yeah.
What are your talents? Be willing to take some risk. Be intentional about personal development.
Yes.
And like, what would you point to? I'm still curious about, because, you know, we all have this certain amount of trauma that we've dealt with in life.
For sure.
How have you taken that on to really, because to be able to talk about it to the point where you're not bawling, like you can acknowledge today that you're healed. Like, what brought that?
So there's this preacher that one time he said, his name's Michael Rowan. He kind of goes around like an evangelist or whatever. He said, let the pain from your past be the power for your future.
Ooh, yeah.
So take your pain from the past and use it in your future for it to be powerful to other people in some way. So that's been that one has stuck with me. You know, that was probably like 2 or 3 years ago that I heard him say that. And I was like, that just sums it all up.
And you're doing that.
Yeah.
You're doing that today by being here, by not waiting around either for an opportunity, but seeking that opportunity out and knowing you don't have to apologize, you know, but that it's like, we need to hear, this is why this exists, is for stories to be told that we wouldn't otherwise know about. And so other people wouldn't know about, but man, are they like, they're so they're just so helpful. They're healing. And you just spat out like 3 amazing, really like practical tools for someone to take away with.
Yeah.
That's life-changing for somebody.
It is. And this is a great idea. I love what you guys are doing with this. I see this being very beneficial to a lot of women's lives that, y'all are.
Thank
I
you.
have to throw that in there.
Thank you.
Just wanted to be an encouragement to other women who are going through rough times, going through chaos, that they already have 5 kids and think they can't go back to school. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Do it. Do it. If you feel led to do something and you have the means to do it, please do it. We have so much power in us, and your kids are going to look up to you later on. They're going to know what you went through for them, and your family's going to appreciate you in a whole nother way. They're going to know the sleepless nights and the night classes and the tons of homework over the weekends when you could have been doing something else, and they're going to appreciate all of that, and it's going to be worth it. So
What do you think 18-year-old Randi would think about this Randi?
it would be disbelief, complete disbelief. If I could go back and tell myself that I would be doing what I'm doing right now, I would have been like, no,
There's
absolutely not. Yeah.
That is such a blessing. Oh
It
my
is.
gosh.
I don't know, I just love bringing 18-year-old Randi into the mix because I feel like it's an opportunity for her to come heal too. Like, baby, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're going to be more than okay.
Yep, for sure.
All right, are you ready for our questions? What's your coffee order?
Man, I ordered that creme brulee at 1948 the other day, and that was so good. I guess it's like a caramely type drink, so any kind of caramel coffee is my favorite.
Nice.
So.
That's a good one. And I love that you plugged a local business too.
Yes.
Yay, yeah.
Do you have a favorite cocktail? Do you drink?
Man, if I do drink, it's very occasional, but
Or mocktail?
yeah, a Dr. Pepper and Malibu is always good. That's probably my favorite.
What's the Malibu?
Coconut rum.
Ooh, I bet that is good.
That does sound good.
Or any kind of, I'm more of a mixed drink person. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
So I know you've got 5 kiddos.
I do.
And you're running a business and you're going to school. So you may not have a lot of time for this right now. But if we were to clear your schedule and we were to give you a ticket to go anywhere you wanted to and put you up in a fancy hotel, like all expenses paid, where would you go? Would you take a trip somewhere, and would you take your kids or your husband or go by yourself? Like, what would that look like
She's
for
got
you?
5 kids. Let me go by myself now.
It would probably be with my husband to the UK because kind of a weird thing that we like to do is explore cemeteries. And
Interesting. Those are fascinating.
There are some beautiful ones over in the UK that I would love to see in person. So
That's
kind
cool.
of a weird little
Nice.
fact about myself. We love going to cemeteries. Like, we go all over the place.
Have you been to
a
the
bunch.
historic one here?
We love the historic
Is it
ones.
Oakwood?
Oakwood's one, yeah. We like to try to find the oldest grave that we can, and then even try to do a little research and digging on it to see if there's
Yeah.
any information on it. I was not good in history at school, but now, like, real life type history, things that
Stories.
you can actually see, I really enjoy that. So,
That's cool.
yeah.
If you get a chance, I don't know if you've been there before. Have you been to Savannah?
No, but my husband has, and he has told me I cannot remember the name of it, but it's kind of like a French word or whatever.
I'm going to get it wrong. Bonaparte?
Yeah,
No.
Bonaventure.
Yes, Bonaventure. That's
Yes, he has mentioned that, and that's definitely on our bucket list. We got to go there.
It's a neat city to explore. We went for my 40th birthday in September.
Wow, yeah.
And we took a couple of different tours. There's so much history, but the cemeteries are so peaceful.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
I don't know that it's weird. But my grandmother took me walking in cemeteries whenever
Yeah.
I was a kiddo. We did the same
Really?
thing that you're talking about. Yeah. She lived
love
near
it.
one. And so when we would go on walks in the neighborhood, we would walk through the cemetery and we would make up stories about the gravestones that we found. We would just tell stories to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I get that vibe totally.
It's kind of weird, but it's cool. It's it's history, and
It is, yeah.
Well, this has been such a gift for us that you wanted to come and share your story with us.
yeah, it's a
And
blessing for sure.
I know you're going to inspire some, if not several, people that
Yeah,
listen.
it'd be interesting to know kind of how that plays out.
Yeah.
We'll stay in touch.
Yeah, for sure.
The Celebrating Women podcast wants to hear from you. Email us a voice message to celebratingwomenpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear your story or the story of an incredible woman you know. Become part of the conversation on social media. Facebook.com/celebratingwomenpodcast. On Instagram, search Celebrating Women Podcast. The Celebrating Women podcast has been presented by Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler, Texas. Book your appointment today. Stop by the spa in Cumberland Shopping Center or online at handandstonetyler.com. The Celebrating Women podcast is created and hosted by Mandee Montana and Ashley Fisher. Support the show for as little as $3 per month at celebratingwomenpodcast.buzzsprout.com or visit our show notes. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to the Celebrating Women podcast.